Hey, I'm Becca with the Happy Ever Crafter, and we've gone over this before. I don't do store-bought cards. So today I have another handmade card tutorial, and this time it's just in time for Father's Day. I'm gonna teach you exactly how to make this card. The first thing I'm gonna say about this card before we jump in at all is that I do some brush calligraphy on this card, and I'm using a brush pen. Now, if you've never used a brush pen or you've never learned brush calligraphy before, it's more about the overall technique of this card. You don't have to do the exact styles that I'm doing. But if you want to learn brush calligraphy, I have a free course. So I'm going to link to that down below. But again, for the purposes of this card, and I'm going to say it lots of times throughout this just to reassure you, you do not have to do the same styles as I do. You can literally pull out whatever you can out of your brain styles-wise. So don't freak out too much if you've never learned how to do this stuff. Okay, so first things first, tools. Pretty simple for this tutorial. I have a card. This is just really simple, plain cardstock, folded in half to make a card. Do whatever you want. It can be any color you want. It can be any type of paper you want. Then I have two different pens here. I'm using a Tombow Fudenosuke, which is a brush pen, and I'm using a Micron 03, which is not a brush pen. And I'm gonna kind of just mix and match these to create different styles. Now, you can do this in color if you want to. You can really do whatever you want, but I like to keep it in black just to keep things simple and not overwhelm myself and really try and get creative with just some simple tools. So I have a list of different ways to say the word dad or father. I literally just Googled synonyms for dad and kind of made a list, and I'm gonna just cover the front of this card with all different ways to say dad. You can do this in different languages. You can do it with whatever nicknames you have for your dad, whatever you wanna write. And I'm essentially just gonna take those words and write them in all different styles and fill up the front of this card. And this might seem really overwhelming because I'm literally just going to take these pens and jump in and start filling it up with no plan. And you might want to have a perfect layout before you get started because you're a perfectionist, but trust me, the way we're going to fill this out and just making it really, really dense is actually going to end up looking really cool. And even if it's super imperfect and your letters are not perfect, it's going to look really nice. So just get yourself a list of words you want to use, grab yourself some pens, and just jump into it and trust yourself. So I'm actually going to open up my card here so it's flat, and the first thing I'm going to do is use my brush pen and fill in a couple words. So the first word I'm going to write is Pops. I call my dad Pops a lot, and I'm just going to put it wherever I want on this card. I'm going to make all of my writing really like in the right direction. It's all going to be straight on the front. None of it's going to be turned or upside down or anything, just to keep things simple, but put it wherever you want, and then you're just going to fill in around it. So I'm going to do some calligraphy style. And again, if you don't know how to do calligraphy, you can just take my course. I'll link to it down below. But you can be doing this in whatever style you want. And it can be really casual, it can be really fancy, it can be whatever your heart desires. All right, there's my first word. Now I'm gonna continue this style a little bit, but with different words and make them bigger and smaller and stuff, and kind of just spread them out, and then I'll switch styles and fill in different words. And again, I'm just keeping this really casual. It's not even perfectly straight. My letters are not all perfect. I'm just filling it up. And again, if you don't know how to do modern calligraphy like what I'm doing, just do this in any style. Your own writing, big block letters, whatever you wanna do. So I'm going to use those for now, and now I'm going to switch styles. I'm going to do some block letters, and again, just keep writing different words for this name. Pops, Daddy-o, dad, father, man of the household, whatever you want to call him. And you can do them, you can start to use different styles kind of right up against what you've already done. So I'm just kind of making this up as I go. And I'm really not thinking about it too much. These are going to be very, very imperfect, but once they're all filled in here, it's going to look really cool. So yeah, this tutorial is really more about the general technique and less so the actual lettering styles. Just fill this up with whatever you possibly can think of. Okay, I've done a few basic styles here. Now I'm gonna do a couple different things. With my micron pen, I'm gonna write the word dad in some empty block letters, and then I'm gonna put it in a darker circle. So you'll see what that means here. I'm gonna just write really simple block letters. These can be really messy. They don't have to be fancy. And then I'm gonna draw kind of an oval around it. And I'm gonna use my brush pen to fill in around the letters. You can do this in circles, in squares, in whatever shapes you want. Probably gonna do the same thing maybe in one more spot down here. I'll put a different word. All right, and now I'm just gonna hyperlapse while I continue adding more and more words here in different styles, different shapes, different sizes, all the different things you can think of. Okay, we're getting there. So there's some awkward spaces here now, and all I'm gonna do is take my smaller micron pen and just fill those in, reusing these words and just writing them in different styles again, just like in a lighter, smaller font to fill in space. So like right here, for example, I can literally just write dad in caps letters, but I'm gonna actually do daddy because it'll fill in this spot. And then I could do lowercase letters, just like a little bit fancy. Here I'll do pops, but I'll write it in kind of all different sizes to really fill in that space. So just using basic letters and filling in all the little gaps everywhere. All different types of styles. And again, none of these look perfect if you look at them on their own, but as a whole, it builds up this really cool composition. You can even just write the word dad a bunch of times the exact same way to fill up spaces. And there you go. If you're questioning whether or not you want to add any more, my advice is to look at it and squint your eyes a little bit, and you should be able to see if there's any like big glaring gaps. So the only spot that I really see here is I might just put in a couple more little dad. And other than that, I feel like this is actually really filled in nicely. If you wanted to add more detail, you could put little dots and make it really, really dense. You could make some things thicker if you wanted and really bring in some contrast, but I'm really happy with the way this looks. And I told you by the end of it, it would look really cool and like you planned out this composition. Once you're done the outside, you can actually write whatever you want on the inside. So I'm gonna use that same micron pen and just write a cute little message here on the inside. And you can do this really fancy or really tidy if you want to, but I love the look of just like a little tiny message in the middle there. And you can tell that calligrapher doesn't have to have nice handwriting, because look at that. That's not the nicest handwriting in the world, but I'm happy with it. And that's it. If you give this a try, I would love to see it. Make sure you tag me on Instagram at @thehappyevercrafter. Leave me a comment down below if you found this helpful. And if this made you realize that you want some practicing with your lettering, specifically if you want to learn how to do brush calligraphy, like some of the styles I did on this card, I have a free course. I would love to see you in it. You can find the link down below or just go straight to showmeyourdrills.com. And actually, I'll link you to a video next that's all about that if you want to learn more. And I'll see you over there.